Hello there. Thanks so much for joining me today. This is going to be more of an educational yoga experience than it is a flow. So, spinal health to me is extremely important. We're going to go through the 7 directions of the spine. Before we get started, I want you to go ahead and grab yourself a block, a pillow, a bolster, something to sit on to get comfy in the seated position. My personal favorite is a block, but a bolster or a pillow is always really nice too. If you have a pillow, just fold it in half or maybe into fourths. That way it kind of stacks. This allows you to have some room, brings the earth a little closer, doesn't make this so forced. And once you get here, I just want you to notice, how is your posture? When you come here, do your shoulders immediately roll in? Do you kind of cave forward? Or do you notice yourself trying to sit up tall and it just pulls in your back? I got into an extremely bad car accident when I was 18 years old. My spine was never the same since that happened. I found yoga right around the time I turned 30. So I dealt with back pain for nearly 12 years, well over a decade, and it was debilitating. Some days I could barely get to my job to sit at my desk. It was excruciating for me. And I could do very simple tasks like opening up a bucket. It would tear me up for weeks, and I realized that I needed to do something about it. So I met my mat. I found yoga, which is probably the most gentle exercise that we can do. But it's also a big recommendation to people that have back problems or any problems in their bodies. But we get really tense. And I had created holding patterns from the back pain, and it was just radiating to all other areas. And I knew I needed to do something. So I came to the mat. And every day, almost every day, the yoga teacher would have us doing this cat cow exercise. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved cat cow, but I didn't understand why we did it every day. It wasn't until I went to yoga teacher training that I became aware and I was educated on why we do cat cow. So there are 7 directions that our spines can move. First one is flexion. So we forward fold. The second one is extension. So we bend it backwards, extend it. Lateral, side bends. Then we have our rotation, which is our twisting. And then our axial, which is our elongation or lengthening, we call it a lot of times. So this is going to be us slowly going through all 7 directions. So I wanted you to go ahead and get in a comfy seat because we're going to be seated this entire time. I will say, you can do the 7 directions of the spine laying down or standing up. You could do an easy seat. You could sit in kneeling. You could sit in hero. There are all kinds of ways to stretch out your spine. If you find yourself in an airplane or on a long car ride, go ahead, get the 7 directions in, and I bet that you will feel better. So we'll start with our flexion and extension, which is our cat cows. So we'll bring our hands to our knees if we're in an easy seat. And when we look up and we bring the gaze up, we are bending through the back. We are arching that spine. And when we exhale, we come into our cow position. We are totally rounding through the spine. So we do this inhale to look up, exhale to round, and here we are getting the first 2 movements, directions of the spine in here. So go ahead, do this. You want to match up to your breath. So nice long controlled inhales and steady exhales. So that means we're not sitting here going like this, just pumping it, right? We are slowly articulating these movements, really thinking about the spine here, only the spine. Not really thinking about anything else other than maintaining the breath. These always make me feel so much better. Beautiful. So now that we've got those done, we'll move to our rotations. So I like to do the twist and the side bends every day because these are not something that we do in everyday life. A lot of times we can get the flexion and the extension in our everyday lives. Side bends and twists, we do not. So let's go ahead and start with a rotation to the right. So this could look as gentle as just looking behind you towards the right. You could also bring your left hand to your right thigh or knee and your right hand behind you to help twist. We don't want to over twist because we don't want to mess anything up. This is considered a warm up. So we're not like bending around to look to the left side of the room. We're just taking our gaze slightly to the right and then slightly behind us. Once we get here, we want to breathe. So this is also going to give a beautiful digestive massage to your inner organs. And this is one of the only ways they get massaged. Bloating, constipation, all of these things, twists can help. If you are having these issues, come find a twisty yoga flow, and I promise when you get off the mat, you're going to feel better. So the inhales allow us to lengthen here. It allows the spine to grow tall, and the exhales allow us to go a little bit deeper here. So just noticing what it feels like to breathe into your belly here. It may start making some sounds because it's like, oh, you're massaging us. This is nice. We can get some movement in here. Some forced movement, not just it doing it. My belly is talking to me. So we'll allow an inhale to bring us back to the center, repositioning ourselves, allowing the spine to lengthen here, our axial direction. And then when you feel good, we're going to look to the left. And same thing on this side. If this is good for you and you're like, yep, don't need to go any further, this is a beautiful, gentle twist. Otherwise, you can take this right hand to this left thigh or this left knee and take that left hand behind you. I think I might have said that wrong, but right hand to this left thigh or knee. Left hand is behind us. And we're doing that same breath work here. So we're allowing that inhale to lengthen the spine and the exhale to take us deeper into our twist. Breathing love and openness into that belly. We're not just breathing into the chest here. And on an inhale, we'll come back around to center. Now we're going to do our lateral bends. These are my absolute favorite. We get these in about every single yoga flow we do. So we're going to bring the right hand to the mat or the floor beside of us, left hand up and overhead. Now when I teach in-person yoga classes, this is where I see people be the most inflexible. And I get it. These obliques can get really, really tight. The shoulders can get really, really tight. I just challenge you to come here and try this every day, and I promise you will see movement. You will see progression towards being able to come all the way over, like you can have probably saw before. So while we're here, we're wanting our chest to stay forward facing. We don't want to collapse it down to where it's facing the ground. If anything, we want it facing the sky, more of a upward rotation versus an inward rotation. When we think about rotating towards the sky, it's going to open up through that shoulder too, which you may find a little more challenging. But like I said, if we're here, we're just gently pulling down this left side body, reaching for the right side. And once again, we're using our breath to open up those tight spaces. What does that mean, Stephanie, using this breath? So when we imagine this breath filling up, obviously our whole center area, this is stretching along this left side. And that's what we're going for. And the breath just helps us get a tad bit deeper in stillness. We'll allow an inhale to bring us back up. Our left hand can come to the left side of the mat. Once again, this right hand sweeps up and overhead. And if this is where we are, this is where we should be happy with where we are. We don't have to go all the way to the ground to get the stretch in. Another thing you can do is push through your hand that's on the ground, and it will help to deepen that stretch down that right side. Once again, noticing the spine being lengthened, chest is revolving towards the front of the room or up. Gaze is towards the right side here. Hand is actively reaching for the left side. And we are breathing. Our bellies may still be talking to us because they are still getting a little massage here. And an inhale will bring us back to center. So our last but not least is our axial, our lengthening. So whenever we're walking around during the day, whenever we're sitting at our desk, we need to be focused on lengthening, right? Imagining the crown of the head actively reaching up towards the sky. The best way to do this is to take these hands down and inhale them up. Take the gaze up, and here we are. We have an extremely lengthened spine. You don't have to take the gaze up. The gaze can be forward. However, the spine is lengthened here because we are pulling it up, right? We are forcing this upward movement, this upward extension to lengthen through that spine. This is taking these vertebrae from here and giving them space. Healthy, right? So let's inhale those arms up. And exhale through heart center. We'll do this a few times. Inhale the arms up. Reach, reach. And exhale heart center. Beautiful. Inhale those arms up again. Reach, reach, reach. Exhale heart center. We'll do one more. Inhale those arms up. Reach, reach. And exhale them through heart center. Thank you so much for joining me for this gentle 7 directions of the spine video experience, learning experience. That's what we're going to call it. And of course, I always try to give us a nice quote. And I thought for spinal health, your health is an investment, it's not an expense. So when we're sitting at our desk, when we're in that airplane, when we're riding in the car, on the bus, wherever we may find ourselves, and we just want to get a little bit of movement into that spine, this is a good one to come back to and do over and over and over. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that you really found this useful and helpful, and I look forward to seeing you back on the mat.